Welcome to another episode of Assembling Titans. This week we play the Denver Broncos in Denver at Mile High Stadium at 3:25 for the viewers there. And really, this matchup with the Denver Broncos is one that has the potential to either be a situation where the teams stay how they've kind of been recently. I know Denver Broncos are coming off of a win, and they're kind of finding themselves in terms of finding a way to win a game. Defensively, really swarming the football as they beat the Chargers last week. Um, but to me, they're an extremely dangerous team. You have the likes of Emmanuel Sanders, Cameron Sutton. Uh, you have great runners like Deshaun Hamilton, uh, and the tight end Noah Fant, and running backs Philip Lindsay and Royce Freeman. Defensively, Von Miller. Uh, you got Harris on the line, Wolf on the line. Uh, you got guys in the secondary that I really like Kareem Jackson, um, Chris Harris. Long corners, long secondary guys that can be interchangeable back there. I really like Justin Simmons coming out. So really got a really smart defense and a dangerous offense. So what I really want to do in these videos, and if I haven't been able to do or explain it to you guys, is I really want to let you guys know who our opponent is, who are the Denver Broncos, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and being a Titan-centric site, we know about the Titans, but I also want to inform you how can this Tennessee Titans team attack this Denver Broncos offense and defense um, based off of our personnel and what we've been able to do thus far and what we need to do in order to win this game. So starting off with the quarterback, we all know Joe Flacco, pretty much a stationary quarterback, but has a big arm, I'd say. Can still deliver the football. I wouldn't uh, think or have the notion like he's lost it. He can still get it to receivers and throw it pretty much anywhere on the football field. They have a pretty good target share going between Emmanuel Sanders and Cameron Sutton right now. So I think they're in a good space. They're in a good spot there. Running backs Philip Lindsay, Royce Freeman. Really like Freeman coming out. Philip Lindsay is obviously taking the league by storm um, with his ability. Um, and it's just something about Philip Lindsay's running style that I really gravitate towards because he's not as fast as the Titans' great Chris Johnson, but he runs with the same grace and fluidity of Chris Johnson to me. The same lean, the same finishing ability, the same ability to run inside and outside. Uh, but like I said, he's not as fast. He's not Chris Johnson. Don't get me wrong. Don't you know muddy up my words, but he runs with the same grace. Um, if you can, catch what I'm pitching. But Royce Freeman is kind of like I guess, the hammer to his nail or the thunder to his lightning. I would say he's more of a physical back, but still has the ability to get out in space and just finish runs. So they really got two great finishers at the running back position. They do a lot with those guys, getting the ball in their hands in the flats, on screens. They really involve both of them a lot, and Lindsey being the premier back, he can take it from anywhere. He can take it to the house from anywhere on the field. So the Tennessee Titans really have to be disciplined in their gap integrity on defense, and they really got to know where number 30 is at all times. And that's not the only person they have to have that same mindset with as we go towards the wide receivers with Sutton and Sanders. I mean, Sutton is getting targeted a lot in these games. Sanders is the guy that is the precise route runner, a little faster, a little bit more of an athletic kind of guy in terms of, he can, just like Sutton can make the acrobatic catch, but Sanders is a guy that can take, go on a deep route, catch it, and score and be able to separate in that manner. Cam Sutton is a big bodied guy, still has the speed, don't get me wrong, and still has this catch radius and spectacular catch ability. So that's why I say that this team is still dangerous. Obviously, teams have been able to keep them at bay, but it's just a matter of time before the bow breaks, and that's really where towards the end of this video, I'm gonna start talking about. I see this game ending in three ways, and when I get there, you're gonna understand what I'm saying in terms of how explosive this offense can be. They have the rookie Noah Fant at tight end, extremely aggressive, good yak ability, yards after catch, big bodied guy. They have the tight end Heuerman, who's just been a guy that's been in the league that does his job, blocks, can catch as well. Somebody that the Titans still have to account for. Offensive line wise, Connor McGovern has been doing what he can at center. Right guard Leary, left guard Risner, a guy that I really like coming out. Didn't catch flack for, but I said, and I made sure I prefaced it pretty good. I think he's very similar to Kevin Watt, in my opinion, in terms of even his build, the way that he just plays the game, blocks to the whistle, extremely technically sound. I really like Dalton Risner's game. So their left guard, they're going to have a good guy for a long time right there at that left guard position. And he can even play center, has played tackle before, so he can play all positions on the offensive line. And that's really, a highlight of that offensive line. Left tackle Garrett Bowles, I think that he's been playing okay, not as good as he can since he came into the league. The narrative is that he's not playing well throughout his career and is kind of on the decline, but I think he's at a steady pace. Obviously he has some reps that he wants to, have back, but I think that he's a good enough player that, all hope is not lost. Leary is a veteran that I think that a lot of teams have gotten the best of. So I think there's an opportunity for the Tennessee Titans to definitely expose that center to right guard range. Big free agent signing Juwan James has not been able to suit up for the Denver Broncos, and I actually liked his tape. I think he's a good right tackle, but he hasn't been able to suit up. So they got Elijah Wilkinson, number 68 at right tackle. And I think that's, that right side is somewhere the Tennessee Titans can certainly be able to exploit. Similar to the Bills game, that right side started to deteriorate as the game went on. And once you saw that, the Titans started to rack up some sacks. Not saying that they needed that to happen to get sacks, but that's certainly something that happened. And just my film study of this offense in total, I think that right now they're being conservative. To be completely honest, they can do a lot more with what they have. But hopefully for the Titans' sake, this is a game that they try to play conservative as well. But like I'm gonna say at the end, if they don't, then this could be one of the games to where this is where they get on track, and the Titans better hope this isn't the week that they do that. So I see a lot of bunch stack formations. They can spread it out often, or they're in single back a lot, just riding the wave of Philip Lindsay and Tennessee Titans. Collectively, for the most part, for about 4.5 quarters, they can stop the run. It's just the fourth quarter, trying to get the ball back or late in the game, they just haven't been able to stop, running backs. And this is the type of team and the type of players, both with Freeman and Lindsay, you don't want to have those mental lapses or personnel groupings that's not going to be able to stop the run. Jeffrey Simmons actually practiced this week for the Titans, so that's going to be good for them from a pass rush perspective and run stop perspective. Defensively, their linebacker Alex Johnson is a top 5 inside linebacker in the league right now. He's playing incredibly well in coverage and incredibly well versus the run. Number 45, you're going to hear his name a lot. He's playing very well that nobody's talking about. Von Miller, we all know how that Pro Bowler moves on the pass rush, can get in lanes, can, obviously I wouldn't say he's a top flight cover guy, but, obviously when you're able to get your hands up and you're that athletic, you can make plays, block passing windows, tip passes, and things like that. Incredibly aggressive and smart in the run game as well. You got guys like Shelby Harris, Wolf, Mike Purcell. I think Purcell and Harris are doing well manning up the middle. Wolf is having some tough times grading, but he's still a big body, aggressive guy. Um, you got guys like Kareem Jackson in the secondary, Chris Harris, extremely talented group there. Will Park, Justin Simmons, a guy that I really like coming out of BC, I believe a few years ago, long, lanky. Kind of reminds me of I guess you could say a young Mika Hyde, maybe a young, very similar to the secondary of the Bills, a young Mika Hyde or even Jordan Poyer. He's just a long, lanky. He's number 31. You're gonna hear his name as well. Just a long, lanky, instinctual, aggressive safety. Uh, they got another cornerback, number 41. His name is escaping me right now, but he's struggled a little bit. But he's long, lanky. He can run. It's just a situation of getting him some reps. I have his name right here. Uh, Bear with me. So yeah, Isaac, yeah, Yiadom. I'm not gonna butcher his name. Isaac Yiadom. He's been struggling a little bit, but he's certainly a player that the Tennessee Titans, because of his size, that can cause problems. Those type of guys always usually do. He's struggling right now in terms of grading, but I'd be really dismiss. I can't really dismiss the fact that the Denver Broncos acquired Duke Dawson, who is really an active player. They line him up everywhere on that defense. He comes off the edge of. Usually, if there's a blitzing defensive back, it's going to be Duke Dawson, and he gets there in a hurry. He's incredibly aggressive. I really like his game. Um, a lot of this team, like I already said, Will Parks. Excuse me, I think I said Park earlier. Todd Davis, number 51, has been playing incredibly well. Josie Jewell, not as good in coverage, number 58, but he's playing well as well. Well as well. Probably shouldn't use well too close to each other. Justin Hollins, another guy that's just all around. Uh, Draymond Jones, a guy from Ohio State. He's really good at pass rushing, but he's the type of player when he's in, I believe the Tennessee Titans can take advantage in terms of running the ball. He's somewhat undersized to be on the line. Malik Reed, another guy that I really like, but when he's in, number 59, I believe that you can run the ball. Bradley Chubb is injured, so we won't have to worry about him. But guys that you wouldn't suspect that's having a good game, excuse me, or a good season is guys like I just said earlier, Alex Johnson, who's having a great season. Garrett Bowles. So just making sure that I'm being very thorough on the roster. I didn't mention Deshaun Hamilton enough on the offense. Um, I really think he's one of the better route runners that came out of his draft class. I think that he's really precise in his route running, dependable in terms of he's going to be where he needs to be. Um, Juwan Winfrey, Fred Brown is the guy they brought up. I really like his size. Deontay Spencer is from Pittsburgh. Very similar to like Isaiah McKenzie, small, compact, speedy, number 11 kind of guy. He's going to be handling some of the return duties. So just a fast team. Um, and another thing that I wanted to say with this defense is when I was mentioning that they're not quite the Bears of last year, they're not quite the Bears West as most people might have thought with the Vic Fangio hiring. I think they're predictable right now. I really do. I think first, second down, They're mainly zone, not trying to get beat. And then third down, that's when they kind of get exotic man schemes, bring pressure, and most will say that's what most teams do. But the Bills were kind of interchangeable. I did see that versus the Chargers, they did run a little bit of man and some early pressure versus the Chargers. They did it a little bit with the Jaguars as well, and I think they do it. Obviously to switch some things up, but really versus Gardner Minshew, maybe trying to trick a young quarterback. But they're predictable to me. Almost 80 to 90% of the film that I watched, it was first down zone, second down zone, third down man, um, uh, third and long zone, second and long man. So just situations where they feel like they're trying to protect that defense somewhere. And I really think they're not confident in something within that defense. And if I'm looking at the statistics and I'm looking at tape, they're trying to protect that cornerback number 41. They just signed Cody Sensabaugh because Busby got injured. Devontae Busby got injured. So they just signed Cody Sensabaugh, the former Titan. And outside of Chris Harris, you know, they're thin in terms of talent. Bryce Callahan has been injured, hasn't been playing. So they're really thin at the cornerback position outside of Chris Harris, and they're protecting it. But their safeties, like I said, Kareem Jackson can play corner as well, but they have him, Justin Simmons, Will Parks, like I said. Uh, uh, so really, this team is a team overall. Just kind of wrap this thing up. I know I've been talking and going off, off script a little bit, but overall, how can the Tennessee Titans attack this defense early in the down? I believe the Titans need to know that it's zone and just take what the defense is giving you. This is a Adam Humphries game. This is a AJ Brown's game, and I'm gonna post something in the morning that kind of shows how predictable or when AJ Brown is effective in this offense. His patterns, everything look very similar, but he can do more. He can do bubbles. He can do screens. You can get him more in the underneath game than always having him run a deep dig route or or a flat route. He can do more routes than that. And that's something that I feared him coming out. And that's one of the reasons why, and this is going back to my draft process, was, obviously looking at the statistics, uh, JJ Arthega-Whiteside isn't having, the season that AJ Brown is. But just from a technical standpoint, route running standpoint, I'm not sure if the Titans trust him to run the more intricate routes close to the line of scrimmage. You know, because I can't really say why they're not giving him that opportunity to have some of the routes that Adam Humphries has. But like I said, long story short, I believe that is an underneath game. Take what the defense is giving you. Every now and again, attack number 41. If Cody Sensabaugh plays, attack him, obviously. You got to think more about getting targets to players. Think more players over scheme in this game offensively. And I certainly don't abort mission on what you believe in, but I just feel like some guys deserve, no matter what, 7 targets. Corey Davis, get him involved. Getting that running game going, they should be able to do it. There's a lot of speed on that defense, a lot of intelligence. You have to use it against them, especially that aggressiveness of Von Miller at certain times. You can get the screen game going to a running back, get the screen game going to a wide receiver. Um, I just think that is a type of game that you get the ball out of your quarterback's hands fast and just take what the defense is giving you. Trust it. You got to trust yourself in this type of game. Defensively versus the Broncos, I feel like this it has a great opportunity to be their coming out party, and it might be a situation where the Titans they can't do anything about it. And I know that sounds a little bit like that's some analysis, but it's just one of those games where it's a team that hasn't shown a lot on offense, but they have all the skilled players to do so. It's just one of those games to where what they might try to do in this game, the Titans have not seen on film. You know, some of the things that the Titans are struggling with right now and key moments are throwback plays to tight ends, uh, late release kind of plays where the the linebacker might have the tight end in man, but because it's play action, the and they've been running the ball a lot, the linebacker forgets that that's his man on the tight end release, or the tight end might block and then release. Obviously, that's what I'm talking about. Just those little minute plays where you can't afford to do that. Dink and dunk, move in the pocket type of things. Joe Flacco has a great assortment of weapons. Philip Lindsay, Royce Freeman, like I've said, pretty much ad nauseum. These guys can play. It's just that they haven't been able to piece it together. And for whatever reason, pardon me, the Tennessee Titans sometimes have a um, ability to remedy certain teams' problems. So, obviously, how do you stop them? You do what you've been doing because you've been a good defense. But the fact of the matter is, sometimes it comes down to one on ones, and the Broncos' wide receivers, especially on the outside, might have the upper hand on the Tennessee Titans cornerbacks, especially on the outside. Now their slot receiver game, whether that be Spencer or I haven't even mentioned Andrew Beck, number 83, who's a rookie that I liked as well from Texas, who they got from the Patriots, who is extremely well at catching the football, great at blocking, even plays special teams on tackles and stuff like that. So they have an assortment of weapons that I think that the Tennessee Titans have to keep it close to even have a chance. To be honest, I'm telling you, I think it's going to be one of those games where they might get it together and explode. Certainly, come for me if I'm wrong. I think in the special teams game as well, the Tennessee Titans should have an opportunity in the return game, specifically punt return. I think this is a game where Mike Vrabel might have to, definitely. A lot of people talk about his decision to take out Adoree or put in Adoree or Adam Humphries. I think either can score. I think both have enough speed to score on a punt return, but I think there's holes in that punt return, punt coverage unit. So I think the Titans might have a big play or two from their punt return team if they're watching tape like I do. There's a big void in the middle. Everybody's not getting down there and being disciplined. So Adoree Jackson might have his first touchdown of his career this game. Adam Humphries might have his first punt return as a Tennessee Titan. That's what needs to happen in this game. That I think that in all predictions that I have, this is going to be a game that gets into the 20s. It's not going to be a low scoring game like last week. Uh, at least I hope so. I hope the Titans don't get blown out. This is where I was talking about earlier. I think there's about three different scenarios that can pan out, and I'll start with what every Titans fan wants to hear. I think that if the Tennessee Titans keep it close, run the football, play the game that they want to play at their pace, um, play good defense, keep it close, keep it a back and forth type of game. I believe this game might go into overtime and it'd be a 24-21 win. And Cody Parkey is the hero and a redemption story, or it doesn't go into overtime and they still can eke out a 3-point win. And still, in that case, I think Cody Parkey might be the story. 3-point win, 24-21, something like that, 2017, right? Or 2023. I just gave three predictions. So I'm not going to act like I predicted the score this time. I'm going to act like, if I get it right, I get it right. But I'm going to direct you to this video if I'm right. However, there's two other scenarios that I think could possibly happen. If the Tennessee Titans get a big lead, a significant lead, two scores, two possession, three possession type of game. I think if they get that kind of lead early in the game, I think that's the worst thing that can happen, because then it forces the Denver Broncos to really open things up and really play desperation ball. And when you have the wide receivers with the skill set of Sutton and Sanders and running backs like Lindsey and Freeman, to give them the right of way to just go all out desperation, that's when points come. And that's when the Tennessee Titans give up a big lead and lose the game. And there's another scenario. And that scenario is if the Denver Broncos come out empty, set, they figure something out on offense, like we've been way too conservative. They start out kind of like the Bills did. They didn't start off running the game versus the Titans. I mean, running the ball versus the Titans. They didn't start the game that way. They started out spreading them out, dinking and dunking, taking shots to some degree, in the intermediate levels. You come out like that, kind of get the game going. They can, I'm telling you, this Denver Broncos, before the season is over, if it's not against this Titans team, they're going to put up some big points. I promise you. I'll be very remiss if they don't. So, like I said, those type of scenarios, I really think that one of three only comes out and the Titans win. That tells me the confidence that I have in terms of going on the road in a late game and trying to pull it out. If they do, that's great. And you already know all my videos, this has probably been the most, I don't know, biased or opinionated video of the 5 or 6 that I've done. It just feels like a game that, to me, it just feels like one team is due for something. I feel like the Titans, like I said, I feel like Adam Humphries and that underneath game, because the Denver Broncos defense, in my opinion, is predictable right now. You should be able to work off of that because they're so predictable. Third down, it's going to be a man scheme unless it's, maybe this is league wide, but when I watch tape, I almost know what type of coverage, who they're going to send, and where it's coming when I watch tape. Duke Dawson, okay, it's 3rd down and 4. I see Duke Dawson acting like he's playing, man, but he's really coming. Oh, snaps the ball. Duke Dawson is coming off the edge. Like, I see it. It's very predictable. So if the Tennessee Titans can't take advantage of that kind of game, I mean, I think the best thing that can possibly happen is you see Marcus Mariota at least see those things and grow from it. And hopefully that means that equates to a win, and it should. But really, that's all I got to say. For those in fantasy, I always try to give, guys that do fantasy a little tips here and there. For the Buffalo Bills, I think that Philip Lindsay has a decent game, maybe as a flex guy, not your RB1 necessarily. Certainly has the potential to be, depending on how the games start. And this depends on your league. If you're playing DraftKings, Philip Lindsay might not be in your RB. He might be a flex. If you're playing in larger leagues, he's a good anywhere from 12 to 21 point outing. However that helps your team. I don't know. Maybe he's your RB1. Maybe he's your wide receiver running back option. I think that Cameron Sutton, due to his target share, and Emmanuel Sanders have the possibility to have breakout games, double-digit games. So I'm not necessarily saying a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 numbers, but certainly flex numbers that can help you win in a deep league or something like that. DraftKings, maybe not. FanDuel, maybe not. I don't know about that, but certainly in those Tennessee Titans, I feel as though that a sleeper is Adam Humphries for double digits. I think A.J. Brown, if they incorporate, this is all incorporation. I think A.J. Brown, Adam Humphries has the opportunity to have big games underneath. And yeah, really, that's it. And usually, if they have a good game, you might even have Marcus Mariota as a guy that, obviously, in a deeper league, you only can have one quarterback. And I think in most fantasy situations, you can only have one. So I'm not sure if you want to go that route. But certainly, those two receivers, A.J. Brown, Adam Humphries, and you always, Derrick Henry, you never know what he can do. He should be able to kind of grind it out versus this Denver Broncos team. But they have a lot of speed and discipline. And Tennessee Titans have been a little bit predictable, but we'll see. We'll see. I feel like I've been talking a lot and going in a lot of directions. But I think that's authenticity and authentic. Um, and maybe in the comments, tell me, should I go off of notes or should I just freestyle? I think freestyle, I just feel like, to me, it's more impressive because you're going off the top of your dome. You're going off of memory. You're freestyling. You're whatever. Anyway, I'm about to get ready for this Thursday night game. And you guys enjoy your weekend. Make sure you comment and let me know, the work that I've been doing. If you like it, what could I do to improve it? And certainly like, share if you like it, and subscribe. Tell your friends about me. Just a young talent evaluator trying to eventually assist the Tennessee Titans in helping them win. But certainly just trying to sharpen my skills, watching tape every week. I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm certainly not, anywhere near where I want to be. And I'm just, willing to learn and willing to grow. So, and I just try to make this as simple, break it down as simple as possible for fan consumption. So thanks a lot, Assembling Titans. Tighten up. You guys have a great weekend. God bless.